Hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about the chapter model number 3, individual differences in second language learning. The developmental process to learn a second language depends on the individual exposure and interest to learning, and this learning pathway is different for each individual. There are social and cognitive strategies for the second learning students to apply in the process of learning a second language. Children need to make the approach in order to become part of the group by taking risk of speaking while they're learning from the silent period and by showing the development of telegraphic and formulaic phrases. Socially, it's important that the second language learning children begin to sound like members of the group to get exposure to the language in order to get more quality language acquisition. The interaction with their friends will expose the second language learners to develop the learning skills faster than those who decide to be isolated and don't take any risk to speak the language at all. The children that are shy and afraid to try new language encounter more difficult to adapt to the new environment. Learning a second language is a cognitive challenging and time-consuming activity, and being exposed to the second language is not enough to acquire. In the learning process, there are also underlying factors such as motivation, exposure, age, personality, support by the teachers, the student families, the school system, and the community as well. Teachers in any type of classroom, but especially in early childhood classroom, need to be prepared for the multicultural students that will receive their instructional education. In order to provide high-quality teaching, the teacher needs to bring support to the second language learner students and their families by organizing the classroom, setting organized classroom activities, consistent daily routines and behavioral routines as well, and organized classroom management and maintain a constant student feedbacks and also maintaining a constant parent communication. In order to prepare for the multicultural students, teachers need to gather information about the cultural and linguistic background of second language learning students. Getting this information about the second language learners' cultural background and their families will be a complicated task that the early childhood educator or general education teachers will face, but it will be necessary in order to support the students and their families in the learning process of the second language acquisition and the students' adaptation to the new school system in order to become successful in his or her academic school performance. There are 4 basic but important rules to follow that will provide a better chance to second language learners educators to accomplish the mission. First of all, don't make any assumptions about the child's cultural or linguistic background without getting further information. Second, decide what information is important to know. You don't need to know everything, but at least have a general idea about what the students' backgrounds or cultural background is about. Third, plan how to get this information. You could get information from the school office, also learning from the students. You could send a questionnaire to the students so he could fill out with his parents or his family, and it's going to help you to get an idea about what is the background of the students and what is his difficulties in learning the new language. Also, you could go, you can get sources of information from the internet about cultural and also about traditions from the student's background once you learn where he's coming from or where she's coming from. And also think about using a variety of ways to get this information. As I said, you could go through the internet, you could go through the school office, you could go to the students' even family, and even you could make a lessons to include all the students to investigate or to get information about the students' background in order to share and to learn about the students. So that way, second language learners won't feel overwhelming for all these new things that they are going to face. In order to be able to communicate with second language learning students, teachers need to start knowing about the student's home language and prepare to make possible the communication if the educator doesn't have any proficiency on the student language. Communicating with the children's parents or family and asking for help will provide a better interaction between the students and the teacher. For example, asking the parent to provide certain basic commands words that the child will recognize will break the ice between children and the teacher and will allow the teacher to deliver the basic communication such as saying hello, sit down, what's up, etc. and make the child feel comfortable. By doing this, it will allow to send a message to the parents and to the second language learners about how important it is to integrate the student in the classroom environment and the role that the parents play in their development. Also, teachers need to start slowly. At the beginning of the new school year for the second language learners, the teacher needs to give the students time to start the adjustment process in the new cultural and linguistic setting. Using appropriate language for young children in the 2 first months of the school year and moving to less complicated language will help the students to understand the English language. The educators need to pace the speed of their lesson in order to provide the opportunity for second language learners to understand what is being taught and for the first language students to advance on their academic process as well. Repetition is another successful technique. Saying the same thing more than once will help the students to understand and to relate the word with the action the teacher is doing or the object the teacher is showing. By using this approach, the second language learners will have the opportunity to learn the word and assimilate the message. This is often the most common technique used by second language learners in their acquisition for the second language, and even by repetition technique is how toddlers learn the language, by how the toddlers learn the language is by repetition and by copying. Knowing the student English pre-knowledge is necessary for the teacher to know from what point the teacher will be able to work and to expand the children's knowledge on the English language. Upping the ante, the teachers need to insist to make the second language learners children to speak the English language and push them to the point that they need to communicate the word or words in order to make people understand them and to communicate with others. Pushing them out of the mute stage or conform zone is a technique that will make the second language learners feel more confident and become active members of the classroom group. Before communicating with second language learners, students, teachers need to know the English level of knowledge and start by trying to communicate with simple words, using commands on questions and little by little scaling them to more challenging words or expressions in order to make the students' learning progress more efficiency. The reference communication techniques are all used together in every interaction that the teacher maintains with second language learners and even first language learners. These techniques can be used in any setting, and they need to be used constantly in order to get the students to learn the language and accomplish their learning development. Organizing the classroom for second language learners is very important. Helping second language learners and students to feel comfortable in the classroom is important for the adaptation to the new environment. So the students will be able to interact with other English-speaking students without feeling the pressure of not speaking the language. Classroom should be set up with organization activities areas such as manipulative areas, home area, painting area, and reading area, as example. This is important for early learners since they will be able to pick up the activity that they want to participate in without depending on others to be able to do it. It will also help them to develop their social relationship with other students by playing games and by sharing toys or by just sharing a place. Setting daily and consistent routines activities in the classroom also helps the second language learner students to know what to expect and what to do. Routines such as arrival schedule, circle time, reading time, free play, cleanup time, snack time, bathroom time, and outside time provide the second language learners the chance to observe and to follow the classroom activities even during the new period of their adaptation. Due to these classroom settings maintained by the teacher, the first language and second language students will be able to interact between their peers and the teacher and make the classroom environment experience more suitable.